Welcome to the Live and Give Show with Dr. Jaime Gonzalez and Dr. Walt Wynn. Join us as we share our experiences and those of other experts in their fields who've discovered financial security while creating a pathway towards giving back to others.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live and Give Show. Today we have our co-host, my lover, Dr. Jaime Gonzalez. We are missing Maria today. But today's topic, we are going to give tips on maintaining healthy relationships in the family. So that's going to be a little bit of family, from immediate family to even external family, because I think that plays such a pivotal role in everything else that we do, right?
That's right. I'm excited about this episode, and we kept it with an F.
We kept it with the F.
So let's see how many more Fs we can think of here.
No, but why don't you start us off, lover, when we talk about maintaining healthy relationships? And there's a relationship between us, when you have your significant other, if you have children, the relationship between your children, and then also if you have parents and siblings, and all of those impact our day-to-day life and how our emotions are, and it can impact your work and everything else. So why don't we start with the immediate family, between the dynamics of a significant other, whether you're married or not, and then if you also have children. Would you like to take the lead?
Sure, I'll start off. And I think you can't get more immediate than just focusing actually on yourself. So, and yourself, you have to be good inside, like what we've talked about before. Because if you're not good inside, if you're not heading towards that inner peace, that journey, it's very difficult for a healthy relationship with anyone, right? So, and for myself, I try to work on it every single day, like self-care every single day, because in the past, like I've mentioned in previous episodes, I've struggled with anxiety and things like that. And so I have to be good and healthy and have to take care of myself before I'm able to take care of anyone else.
So can you share kind of what a normal day looks like for you for self-care?
And so I start off, this might be a lot of steps for a lot of people. I can kind of just summarize it, just very, very high level. And then we can get into more of the details later on down the road. But I wake up, and before I get up, I start to pray. And so I take just a few minutes praying and doing my breathing as well. So just a few minutes. And then I have a red light panel, infrared and near infrared light, that I jump on for about 10 to 15 minutes every morning. But at the same time, I'm still working on my breath work. I'm still working on my prayer. I'm still working on my gratitude practice. So I do that for another 15 minutes. And then I can start doing my light exercise. So after I'm done with my red light therapy, I go out for a 20-minute walk, right? So, and that's quieting my mind, because I know, we've talked about it in another episode, someone that suffers from anxiety or depression, they have so many more thoughts, right? Versus just someone that doesn't.
Right.
So I have to quiet my mind for another 20 minutes and go out for a walk in nature, right? So around our neighborhood, and it's a very quiet neighborhood. And so I see some people walking, just say hi to them, but appreciate everything that I'm seeing at that point in time, being grateful to everything that I'm listening to, that I'm watching, everything that's moving. So just try to notice everything and have that gratitude. And then, so I come back and I'm ready to start my day. So it's, that I need that, whatever that is, maybe 45 minutes early in the morning so I can be good inside. I notice that whenever I don't do that, I don't know if it's just subconsciously, but I don't really have a good morning or a good afternoon, or even at
It
nighttime.
sets the tone, right,
It
for the day.
100%. So And a good night's sleep starts in the morning, like we've said before. So if you don't have a good morning, having a good restful sleep, that's going to get affected, right?
Mhm.
So I sleep 9 hours.
Values his beauty sleep heavily.
So I mean, I'm in bed by 9:30, and then still doing some of the work that I did in the morning. I do it in the evening time, along with some of my teas and supplements that I take.
Mhm.
But this is a day journey for me, because if I'm not 100% or healthy, or I'm stressed, or I have a lot of anxiety, then it's not fair for you guys, right?
Mhm.
So I can't give my all to
Right.
you. I can't give all my love, all my affection, all my attention with a really, really good heart if I'm not good. So,
Mhm.
so I think being taking care of you, having that self care, and not just saying it, but practicing it, right?
Mhm.
Making it a habit of, because you are worth it. We've
Mhm.
talked about it before. It's like you are worth it, and people care about you guys. So,
Mhm.
and people depend on you guys. So you have to be really, really good inside. But also greeting you in the morning. We have, whenever right before Athena goes to school, I mean, we have
Morning
that,
snuggles.
yeah, we have snuggles for like 10, 15 minutes, and we're all together laying in bed. So that's for some reason, if that doesn't happen, I miss that part of it.
And physical touch is so important too, right? Having that hug. And I know you like to hug extra long,
Mhm.
right? Even those who don't like to hug, right?
You,
But it
you,
does
you know,
something.
go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I don't do it for them.
You do it for you.
I do it for me, because as we look at more, I do a lot of research on this, and the more you do it for like 7 to 8 seconds, there's chemicals, super positive chemicals that get released in your brain. And I know I'm going to get those if I do it for that long. So for people out there, because you guys know we're like hugging all the time. So
If
if I
you've met
hug
us, we
you,
probably hugged you.
if I hug you for a long time, even if you're a guy, don't take it the wrong way, but I'm doing it for me. And hopefully they can see the positivity and how good people feel if you continuously do it on an everyday basis, right? So, because
Mhm.
we talked about it, you and I, you growing up
We didn't
early
hug.
on. Yeah. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. I mean, we did not hug. That was not our form of affection. We didn't verbally say, I love you. We didn't hug. We didn't kiss. That was not really traditional in our family growing up. But it is something that obviously I've always wanted, right?
Mhm.
And when I met you and your family, everybody was hugging and kissing. And now you've converted our whole family to do the same.
Now I do the now I do the hug, the kiss, and the sniff.
The Asian
So
sniff
the
is the
Asian
substitute
Asian
of the actual kiss. If you're going to get a kiss, that is the sniff, right? But it does. When you talk about relationships and maintaining that healthy relationship, it does start for the inner self and your self care first. And that's something that took me a while to learn too. And it's something that I have to intentionally work very hard at, where I'm not always as consistent as Jaime is. But I realize the days that I'm not consistent with doing the self care first, that it doesn't set the tone of the day, right? And
Mhm.
you can't balance your emotions quite as well when you don't kind of take care of the morning routine first. And I think that's very important. But also having Athena learning that at a very young age. And we taught her just managing emotions. And we really encourage her to express emotions. I remember growing up that it was really encouraged to suppress emotions.
Mhm.
You don't want to show weakness, right? And so I was always kind of like my mom was, a tough cookie. And so I didn't want to show the weaker side of me, and vulnerability was considered weakness growing up in my family. And so it was always like, you got to be strong, you got to be strong. But when you do that, and especially as children, it goes into adulthood, those emotions that are not dealt with as a child, it carries through. They don't just go away. Time doesn't heal that, right?
Mhm.
Unless you actually deal with that and bring it to light and have someone kind of help you, whether you have different strategies. And there's so many different strategies to cope with that inner child and past things, but that carries on forward to your relationships, because I can easily be triggered emotionally if you said something sensitive to me and it has nothing to do with you, but it was a trigger point from something in my past,
Mhm. Like
right?
what? Like if I would say, for
Okay.
example, what, so I
So,
can learn
well,
at the same time.
so the biggest one for me, like in all my pillars of my life, I'm doing really well in most of them, with the exception of my health. That's one that I've yo-yoed most of my life, right? And food has always been something that's been a comfort thing for me. It's one area of my life that I feel happy if I associate certain foods. And so I remember with you, and through 19 years, I've gone up and down as far as my health journey, right? And you never could understand why I yo-yo with, I go through periods all or nothing. I work out really well. I eat super healthy. I meditate. I do my whole morning routine for like 6 or 9 months. And then I fall off the wagon. And for 2 months, I do nothing. And then it affects not just your physical well being, but your emotional well being, your mental well being. And then it triggers sensitivity. And so if he says, well, you're getting sick because you're not taking care of yourself and you're eating a bunch of crap again, well, that's a trigger for me. you know and I know you mean well, but at the moment, like, you could tell me 10 positive things, but if you said one negative thing about that topic, oh, it's like, oh, he doesn't love me, he's judging me, I'm not good enough. And it goes through this weird cycle of like, okay, I need to stop, like, I need to get back on the wagon and stop this all or none mentality, right?
Mhm.
But because I've dealt with that for so long, I mean, through 40 something years of my life, I've been dealing with that. And it's a hard subject of, because I just feel like, oh, you're judging me. And I grew up, and that's a sensitive spot, because I always felt my mom was hard on me, and I would do 10 million things right, but she would always pick the one or two things that I'm doing not quite so good at. And so when you say something, that immediately triggers an emotion of what my mom used to do to me. And it's the people I love the most. And that's why it triggers me that way.
Mhm.
So it maybe has nothing to do with you and that particular topic, but it makes me feel the same emotion.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And so when you talk about relationship, it's very complicated. Sometimes you think like, oh, just open communication. Oh, trust me, communication is a whole nother area of expressing emotions. And even though we've been together for 19 years, we still are learning ways and things of how to best communicate with one another so that we don't hurt each other's feelings, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But some of the tips that we've learned throughout the course is, one of the things that we do with the family, with Athena too, is we do wins and challenges. We
Mhm.
share 3 wins and 3 challenges, because then it gives us an opportunity, instead of saying, hey, how was your day? Which is so vague, right?
Mhm.
But when we
Good.
go,
I
good,
mean,
fine.
that's, I mean, that's how usually kids say it, right? Like, good. It was
And
fine.
so, but when you have time, and this is when we're snuggling in the evening, we're all comfortable, we're sharing our day, and we take turns. And whether Jaime starts or I start or Athena starts, and we said, okay, let's share your 3 wins and your 3 challenges of the day. And it really gives us more time to have a conversation, go a little bit deeper. If you've had a hard time at something at work, or something that you're feeling emotionally that you want to get off your chest, that's your opportunity to kind of bring it to light.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I think I encourage you, if you're not doing something similar to that, that would be a good way for you to kind of communicate with one another. Besides just seeing someone be upset or not their best and be like, well, what's wrong? That's never a good question. What's wrong? And you could just get like, nothing, I'm fine. That type of answer. Right.
Mhm.
And so you want to find different ways of, for us, we write. Like if we get, it's rare, but if we do get upset and we're sensitive about something, because both Jaime and I are pretty quiet naturally growing up, and so emotions, we shelter emotions, and those are harder for us to communicate our emotions openly. And so what we do in the moment is we write it out to each other.
Mhm.
And that way we're putting our heart and feelings and thoughts onto paper so the other person can read it and kind of understand a little bit deeper instead of just like trying to guess what you're thinking and feeling.
Mhm.
What are some other tips,
No,
especially from a guy's point of view who might be a little bit harder to share emotions?
no, I think I do like the wins and challenges at the end of the day. And because I think with guys, it's what we talked about right before we jumped on. It's with guys, it's more difficult to kind of share emotions most of the time. So kind of being in a safe space, and as you know, you're snuggling or you're hugging or you're holding hands at the middle or right before bed, and that gives you an okay to actually start having your emotions be heard, but also opening up, right? Because we think as guys, it's we have to be the strength, we have to be strong, we have to be like the backbone of the family, we have to not show the weakness. So, but going to sleep with a lot of emotions, that causes a lot of other issues. I just
Mhm.
and we just talked about sleep, so that's going to increase more of your stress hormone right before you go into sleep, and you won't get good quality sleep. But
Mhm.
you're also holding on to the emotions. So I would probably, with the ladies out there, just make sure and ask your partner, it's what were your three wins, three challenges, that way they can open up if they're pretty quiet, like we are naturally. So
Mhm.
I think because a lot of the times with guys, it really goes undetected. So a lot of the emotional and well, let me step back. And also we we might be the first ones to outburst because we've been holding it for so long, and then the woman or the partner doesn't know where that's coming from. It's because we've been holding it for so long. But asking the man in the relationship, hey, what were your three wins, three challenges? And that's asking concern, positive and negative concern.
Right.
So, but just kind of talking through it. And then if you have kids, I mean, you have your kid there as well. So kind of sharing with them also brings in a sense of security. So that's why I like doing it, because I
I
can, and again, I'm doing it for me first.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, and then that's whenever we can kind of talk about it or solve some of the issues at that point in
Because if the
time.
home is not good, you carry that to work and then you
Mhm.
spread that negative energy to your team members, to your whoever you're working with and you're serving, and you can't be your best self to serve. And so that's a whole nother area of managing best emotions. And I think that's something that's you have to work at all the time consistently.
Mhm.
And as we're learning and growing and improving on that, because Athena feels energy at home too. And so we always want the home to be happy, right? Because a lot of problems, if you look at societal issues, a lot of it stems from the home and a lot of it stems from childhood. And so we're very careful with how we communicate with one another, especially having Athena around, because kids absorb and listen and pay attention to everything.
Mhm.
And so we want a loving home. And naturally, there's always going to be challenges that come and go, and those you have to address. And we find ways to best resolve around that. But we know at the end of the day, our long term goal and our love for one another, and that's well communicated. But I would be lying if I said that through times when you're in dark moments, that your mind doesn't start playing tricks on you. And so it's important that you have an outlet and ways to that's why self-care and self-development is so important, right? Because otherwise, my natural state, if I get upset, is I isolate, right? I naturally, as a mechanism of coping as I grew up, a survival mode is I will isolate from everybody. And then I just go into my own little world. but that's a dangerous place to be because that's not very healthy, right? And so I now I'll find myself like, okay, I'm starting to do some of the old things. I'll remember, okay, I got to go back, got to do my breathing, got to go talk to people. And I intentionally, when I'm at my worst state, I have to go out and meet people and I have to go do things I enjoy and go speak or go be in another environment, physically changing the environment and getting out of the bed, out of the house, out of that moment is the best way for me. That's really helped for me to change because it's hard for me to just mentally sit and meditate and just do my deep breathing in my own room and be in that state of mind. I physically have to change my environment and surrounding outside of the house, go to other people, and that helps me really cope and then gets me out of that space. But I think you have to find your own as whatever you're going through, you have to find your own what helps for me might not necessarily help for you, but you want to remember like what are things that okay, when you look back in the past when I was in that dark space, how was I able to get out of it, right? And those are things I encourage you to do. Our daughter, when she was little and she would get upset, we would have her like take a deep breath and breathe and let her experience whatever emotion she was feeling. And then after that, she would snap out of it. And she learned how to do that at a very young age. And my friends would be like, how did you get her to do that? And we trained her. And I was like, okay, now. And then I said, okay, just let it all out. Now go wash your face, go into the restroom, count to 20, take deep breaths, and then smile, right? And then she would force this, like she's crying, and then she would fake this forced smile. But when you do that, when you force a fake smile or laugh, your emotions change. Just physiologically, it does change. And then she snaps out of it, right? But I would do that too. I'll just find something that I can physiologically get out of a different space. I'll listen to comedy. I started doing a lot more comedy things and I watch things that make me laugh because as soon as you start laughing, chemically just everything changes in your body, right? And your state of mind automatically changes, right?
You asked me earlier, what other tips do we have for other people just for a healthier relationship with the family? And whenever you like something to do, like for example, you love to bowl, love to play poker, and I like those too, but not as much as you, right? So being open to learning, right? And being open for other activities for the family. So we like hiking as well too. So if something is introduced to the family, just be open to trying it out. So whenever you ask me, hey, let's go bowling, and that's probably not number one on my list, even though I like to bowl and I like to mainly just kind of hang out and go to the park and go play basketball or something, frisbee, like with Athena, so.
But I appreciate you picking up bowling, knowing that I love bowling.
Yeah. Oh, and I picked up bowling and
he's better than me now.
And then we win the leagues, so it's like, just because of that.
But he did that for me. And just like when I met Jaime, he was into every sport. He loves basketball, he loves football and soccer and golf and ice hockey and tennis. And he knows all the statistics and I was not a sports fanatic growing up. I don't know anything about any sport. But as I would go and watch him play league baseball when we were optometry school, and I started learning and I started going to all the games with you, and we would go watch the games because I knew that was something you enjoyed. Right. And I intentionally went to go learn it. You would teach me and then I would Google it and learn more about the game so that I can go and have a good time with you because I knew that was time for us to have quality time together doing something that you enjoyed. And I didn't necessarily enjoy any of the sports, but I grew to like them. Just kind of like you grew to like bowling, right? Maybe not your favorite thing. And I know the last thing you want to do is go to the movie theater with me, but I love watching movies and he goes to the movie theater with me. And so that's something that I encourage to find each other, find what each other interests are, right? Even if it's not your best. We've got Frankie on.
He says I have a mean fastball cutter.
Yeah.
So we used to play. We used to play
Oh.
whenever we were little, and a lot, almost like every day. So,
Wow.
and
Thanks for
I
joining,
appreciate
Frankie.
Chico for being on the line and for playing with me for all those years.
We got Lady Crystal Richardson on the line. Hi, sis. Oh, thank you for joining us. The other relationship I want to kind of outside of the immediate family a little bit, I want to go to our parents
Mm-hmm.
and our siblings, right? Because those relationships are also relationships that can impact a marriage or can impact a relationship, right? And so for Jaime and I, the relationship, Jaime comes first. When we talk about, besides I come first, he comes second, right? And as far as relationships, but it's important that when we're dealing with our parents, we love our parents, right? But we're very intentional of making sure that, hey, I'm going to protect you and I want to make sure that our marriage, that's priority.
Mm.
And so I think that's very important because sometimes we can see relationships suffer because parents intervening and not setting boundaries. And I think that's something that we've been very intentional about, is setting boundaries of, we still take care and we love our family, but first and foremost, we have to make sure that we're good and we're taking care of the family internally as well, right?
Yeah, because most of the time the parents are there just to kind of help their child and to protect their child, and they might say something that, just out of love, something that might not come out just as good as you want to hear, right? So, and we either intentionally or not intentionally, we take it the wrong way, right? But there's always some form of miscommunication whenever they have a lot of opinions, right?
Mhm.
So, and again, it's like, that's their opinion. You have your opinion. And we were talking about this right before the show. It's like, I have an opinion, you have an opinion, but is my opinion correct? And can I say it's not correct? So just being open
Mhm.
to your opinion and challenging my opinion, right? So, because we talked about it right before the show, if you're set on your opinion and you disagree all the time and you're set in your ways and you're
Mhm.
not open to challenging your opinions, that's going to be a very difficult
Mhm.
day, very difficult week, very difficult month just to kind of get by. So, and we talked about one other thing I wanted to mention, another tip, right? So, and the homework part of today's episode, it's coming up with your family's core value. What do you stand for? What does your family stand for? And doing most or everything through those core values. If you have a big decision to make, does it fit your core values? And if it doesn't, that might not be the right fit for you and your family.
Mhm.
So I think that might be the homework to give them today. Come up with a list of 3 to 5 core values that your family stands for. And what I was thinking about is like, because we have poster boards on stuff like that we've done with Tony Robbins and stuff, but coming up with the Gonzalez top 5 core values and displaying them as soon as people walk in the door.
Mhm.
And yeah, and in that way, we can have that trickle down effect. So we can have people look at our core values, but maybe think, hey, I might not have core values for my family. Let's come up with something like that.
No, I think that's great because we've done something similar for our personal core values, but we haven't done it as a joint family
Mhm.
one that we visibly display. Because I know you do your personal one and you display that. But the core value for your family, I think, is really important because everything that you're doing moving forward, when you're looking at the bigger picture, because it's easy for us to go into the daily grind and just get busy, 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 and then do multiple things and get shiny syndrome, shiny object syndrome. And then your focus gets detoured into 10 million different things. And I think if you look back into the core value and you are like, okay, is this in alignment to the bigger picture? Is this in alignment with our core values moving forward? Then it makes those decisions, the yes and no's, a lot easier. And I think that's a great idea because we all want to, and we just had this, I just asked your opinion the other day about that, about the focus of there are so many things I want to do. And in the growth journey, it gets exciting. And it's like, well, I want to do this. And then I kind of want to do this. And I want to do this. Right. But it's important to have full energy and focus in order to do it well.
Mhm.
And so I think that's going to definitely help. This would be a perfect time to go and do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So by next episode, we should have that done. So that's our homework as well, as we tell you guys that that's your homework. But the other one I want to talk about is when we're talking about relationships, aside from kind of these values and things, of course, super important, we always want to talk about fun too, right? Because we love to travel and having so much fun is part of the journey. I always say enjoy the journey because if you're just trying to work so hard to get to some final destination and you think you're going to get happy once you hit that final destination, you might find yourself disappointed, right? So I would encourage you to really work and do things, especially with the family. And I say this because you never know how long we have, right? And I never want to leave this earth with regret that I didn't spend enough time with the people that I love and work so hard for. And so I think that's important that you have fun and enjoy each other during the time. And travel is just our way. You can have fun in so many different ways, but it's something that we're passionate about because we get to combine travels with fun, with food, like we're big foodies, right? And so experience different cultures and then having Athena see a different perspective of the world. So she doesn't just live in a bubble of where we are. And that's something that I've always, when I met Jaime, my interview question to him was, do you enjoy traveling? And his interview question to me was, do you enjoy food? And I'm like, of course I enjoy food. He goes, no, I don't think you understand my question. Do you eat just to eat or do you really enjoy food? What question is that? And I was like, this is perfect. You enjoy food. I do too. And we enjoy traveling. It'll work.
You know, the first time we actually went out to eat, or our first kind of dinner date was, so I didn't have any money at all. I was like, okay, well, where's some good food that is cheap? So we went to the hood and like the really, really rough part of Houston. And they have little stands of just food and tacos and tortas. And a torta is just like a big Mexican sandwich. But these were like the best
So
I've
good.
ever had in my whole life. And so I came down from my car and I was like, okay, we lock the doors. And so I went to go get our tortas, but I still remember that time.
Oh,
you
yes.
know,
We had a lot of
and
fun.
and those were really, really good. So it just, the flavor profile of that was fantastic. So no, it is about the food and just experiencing the destination, right? Because I associate a particular dish with a location, right?
Mhm.
And nowadays, it's kind of sad to say, but we don't really travel for history anymore like we did, like, or very much anymore. We used to go to Europe quite a bit, and it's, oh well, the history of France and the history of Spain and all these other countries, and
Now
it's
he's
like,
just like, where's the good
it's
food?
like where is the country where they have the best food? I mean, that's where I want to go. History is like 20th in my list now. So it's just about the quality of food. And Athena kind of learns,
She
from
has
that too.
she has a pretty diverse palate because she's been able to eat and been open to trying so many different foods too.
Yeah, she
right?
likes the fermented shrimp paste and like the really, really, some people would call it foul smelling. I love it, but she likes it pungent.
But they love it. But that's part of the experience, right? Because if you're traveling and you don't get to experience the food of that country, of that culture, and you're used to, and I'm guilty. Like when I met Jaime, I was like, no, I don't want to try that. I was very closed minded on what type of foods I was going to try. I loved food, but I loved the food that I was familiar with. And so growing out of my comfort zone of trying different food, it has been really good. And I'm glad that Athena at a very young age, we wouldn't even like, she's like, I don't order from the kids menu. I will eat whatever you guys eat. Right.
Hmm.
And so that's why she's so accustomed to eating such diverse foods. And I encourage you when you're traveling and doing that as a family, we look forward like to the travel part so much, whether it's international or within the state, or we even do staycations. Sometimes if it's just a weekend trip, and we'll take Athena to a hotel that has water slides or a water park or something locally here, and just quality time where it's no work, there's no emails, there's no other distractions, where you're fully present with the family, because kids, they don't really care how much money you have. Kids just want quality time with you, that you're spending time with them. And sometimes it may not necessarily, even if you're like, well, I spend plenty of time, I'm there. But if you're physically there, but you're not really there with them and enjoying the time and doing things with them, interacting with them, that doesn't truly count.
Mm.
And I'd rather have quality smaller periods of time, but compressed, where she knows I'm engaged with her and she's enjoying that time with us, than physically being all day with her and I'm not really with her. And so I think that's important as you're working. And a lot of us work from home. We have at least a capability to be able to work from home. But like, we know when she comes home from school, then that's our time with her. And we can go and play things. And we're super silly. Like, people think we're like, oh, you're doctors and you're all of this. Like, if anybody knows us, like, we are super silly. Like, we'll carry a deck of cards and we'll play in the middle of nowhere. And like, we just make it fun. Like, we enjoy that. We live life. Like, just have fun. Like, don't be so uptight, right? And yes, we can be serious. And obviously we have to be serious when it comes down to business and things like that. But from our day to day, and especially when you want to build rapport with people and you want to have a good relationship and just have fun, and you want your children to hang around you, have fun. Make it fun for them to want to hang around you.
Yeah, and all the traveling and the food, that strikes emotions. So it's whenever you associate, okay, this particular location, and especially with some of the charity work that we're doing, this particular location, this charity, or this type of cuisine, or this specific landscape, those strike emotions,
Oh, yeah.
right? And you want to share those moments and those emotions with the people that you love. So I don't want to be sharing emotions and whenever I'm 90 years old, barely able to walk, and it's like, no, you got to do it right now. So that's when you're going to enjoy it the most, right?
Mhm.
So, and then we save up to kind of take these trips, right? So instead of just saving for in 10, 15 years and having one big old trip going all out, why not just take little smaller trips and long weekends, 3-day weekends, kind of like you said, a staycation or somewhere that's completely different than what your city or your town is, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes we go just to Oklahoma. So there's some
Especially
really cool
during
areas
COVID. Yeah.
in Oklahoma that we love to visit over there. And but it's completely different compared to what we have here in Dallas.
And that's what we like. We like the spontaneity of like, hey, we're just going to pack our bags, we'll do a little weekend trip over to Oklahoma and go hike or do whatever. Go. It's just a new area to go explore. It keeps it exciting, because the last thing you want is to have boring life, right? You just don't want to be like the mundane. Okay, it's just another routine. And that's why I like the spontaneity of traveling. And we do a lot of small trips, and sometimes we do bigger trips where we stay a little bit longer. But we'll do it with Athena if we're able to. But then Jaime and I also have a lot of personal trips, whether it's vacation or whether it's for business, and we combine and extend it a little bit. So we have personal time to connect asides. And sometimes a lot of parents have a hard time leaving their children because they have the guilt of being away from their kids. And so at the beginning, my mom used to put a lot of guilt on me when I would go and we would travel. And we have a nanny who's been with us since Athena's been born, and she's over 9 years old now. And his parents are here, so we have a very good support system. But I really 100% attribute to her independence and how she's so mature at a young age, because she's used to us, right? And she's not clingy, where at the very beginning, maybe when she was 2 or 3, she was still very attached. But as we started traveling and she got a little bit, probably when she got about 4 years old, we started traveling a little bit more. Or 3 years old, we started traveling a bit more. She got used to it. And we would call her every day and she would be like, who are you with? Let me see who. And she would ask all these questions. And she's very mature. She's a bright little cookie. But she'd be like, okay, bye, mom. Bye, daddy. What day are you coming home? How many more days? And then but she would understand what the trip was about. Why are we going? And she would encourage it. Like now, I'm like, I have mom guilt sometimes leaving. But she writes me these really nice notes and kind of encourages me she sees me pursuing my dream and pushing out of my comfort zone. And for her to write at such a young age, to write letters and notes to me, that she is proud of me for doing that. Like, it just like melts my heart. So if you have a fear of pursuing your dream or traveling and connecting with your spouse on a more intimate level away from your child for even a short period of time, I highly encourage that for relationships. I think that's important.
Mhm.
All right.
If you can probably also talk about some of because you also do personal development and like retreats and like Sedona and some other places, and you're doing it not just for
Correct.
you, but for the family, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. And so I do personal. So we do family trips, we do husband and wife immersion and self development where we do it together. But then I also do things that I do it personally all by myself. And I do it for me to better myself, but so that I can be the best version for my family. And so if there are moments where I feel like, okay, I'm going to go, and there's a place that I really love. It's in Sedona. It's called Maga Retreat. And it's such a peaceful place. You can do part of their retreats, you can do your own thing, but I think it's 121 acres of just a lot of beautiful hiking places, a garden, water area. You can meditate, you can do your morning qigong. They have 2 masters there, one from Korea, one from Japan, and you can be part of the program where they guide you, or you can just, if you don't want to be part of their program and you just want to go there, stay and do your own thing, to be completely disconnected. Those are always so helpful for me. Like if I'll go for 4 days and I just need a reset, where I need just me time, I need to disconnect from everything, I need to re energize my focus and come back, I always come back better. And so if you need that time to get away for true self care, know that it's not selfish, it's necessary. And I'm so blessed that anytime that I need to get away because I need a reboot or a reset, and I do a lot of these. Some of them, one of them, yeah, Sedona is only one of the places. I do sometimes with other women where it's just a pure women group and it's a spiritual women group, and we'll go and we'll reset together as a sisterhood. And it gives me an opportunity to come back and be rejuvenated, and I come back better. And so Jaime allows me to do that. And if I ever need it, he's like, okay. And his support, it's not like he has to grant me permission, but he supports that and he encourages that if I really need that. And so I appreciate you doing that for me, because, if you need it, I would encourage you be open to talk to your significant other and do it for you, and know that in the end, it's helping the whole family when you go and do that. But relationships, I can't emphasize that enough. As mommies, we want to be the super mom. We want to be the super mom. We want to be the super wife. We want to be the super daughter. We want to be the super boss. We want to do it well in all areas. And it weighs. I mean, I can't tell you that it weighs on you. Hi, Katie. I see Katie joining. I see, is it Tan? Yeah, Tan's joining us. And Josie, hi, guys. But I think as couples who want to maintain a healthy well-being, it stems from the inside. And sometimes you do need to step back just a bit, go do your self-care, even if it's away from the family for a few days, and find somebody to help watch the kids, and have your spouse kind of help in. I remember the first time I did a girls trip, Athena was just born a year. I think she was less than a year old. I had never gone away. I had never done a girls trip before. And it was my first time leaving Athena, but I really needed it. I needed like a break from just having a baby and all the things that were going on. And I was just like, I'm going to do a girls' trip. And so Jaime's at home. Before, Jaime didn't know. Like, Jaime just wakes up and his meal is prepped and the baby's ready. And
We are so blessed for our nanny. If you're out there listening, we love you very much.
so having someone help, like having our nanny, has been the absolute best thing we've ever done, is to hire some help. And my mom judged me because she was like, why would you hire help? You're a woman. That is your role. And I said, I love being a mom. I said, but mom, I'm also a full-time career woman. And I want to make sure that the time that I do spend with Athena, that I spend quality time with her. But I want someone who can help me cook, who can help me clean, who can help her. And when we have date nights and things like that, that's it. She's a partner with me. It's not like she's taken over my role as a mom. I'm still her primary mom, but I need that extra help. And so Jaime was like, even when Athena goes to college, can go here and just stay with us, right? Because she's a phenomenal cook and she's become part of the family. But it gives us such peace of mind whenever we leave, that we can trust her to watch Athena, that she is in good hands and Athena's comfortable with her, like she is a second mom to her. And so that's super important. Don't feel guilty if you need to go away and have time for yourself. And if Jaime needs time for himself and he wants to go away for a few days, I mean, that's absolutely, I'm not just saying it's only for women.
Any guys out there that want to go out on an all guys trip, hit me up and we'll get some together. So what happened you said in the girls trip?
Oh, and
whenever I was left over.
When we left, and I remember calling you and you're like, oh my God, this was before Cohen would come in the morning, and you would be staying up in the middle of the night taking care of Athena. And then you would I didn't even have time to shower before getting to work because I was taking care of Athena and feeding her and changing her. Like, how do you do it all and make it look like so easy? But as moms, sometimes we do it without thinking twice, right? You're doing all these things. You're sleeping in the middle of the night. It's like routine. First time mom, I had no idea. And I'm like, every 2 hours, I woke up before the baby woke up. Now, I'm a deep sleeper. I did not have any siblings growing up. I don't know how to change a diaper. And so when we had Athena, I was like, oh my God, we're so in trouble. I don't know anything about how to take care of a kid. I've never changed a diaper in my life. I've never babysat anyone. And so when Jaime was like, well, I don't do diapers, I'm like, oh, we're in trouble. But that trip really, I think it really helped you appreciate me as a mom. When I give hands down to stay-at-home moms, I mean, it is one of the hardest positions, being a full-time mom. I don't think moms get enough credit who stay at home and do all the work and take care of the household and keep everything in place. And so all your moms watching out, I mean, being the CEO of the mom of the household is a full-time job in itself, because you're taking care of not the children, of the house, of your spouse, and all of that, right? And then if you're a career woman on top of that, bam, you better make sure you carve out time to take care for yourself if you want to mentally and emotionally be in peace.
If the husband wants to be still alive, you got to grant that.
You got to encourage that.
Yes.
Don't wait for her to ask. Because you come back and it's just healthier. Everyone's happier, right? And sometimes you don't want to ask for it. It's like sometimes you feel the stress and emotions of all these things piling up, and you want to be super mom and be a giver to everybody, but you run yourself thin sometimes if you don't do that effectively. And so I think being able to manage your time and your energy, what are you best at? And what do you enjoy best? And how do you best utilize your time effectively and efficiently, where that you are fulfilled and you're creating the bonds that really matter? The best use of your time, the highest level use of your time is what you want to try to get to, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's what's your superpower, right? We talk about that all the time. And just honing in on your superpower. What are you really good at that you can actually focus on, but you can even monetize the superpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and now there's so many ways to monetize, your superpower, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit about that? How different strategies or a way or two
I mean,
to?
yeah, it's so funny because as we started getting more time freedom, we started exploring different avenues and different things. And you sometimes don't discover your greatness and you don't discover what your true passion is until you have the opportunity to go out and do things beyond and above what you normally would do. When we were going through optometry school, our biggest goal and dream was to be practice owners, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that was like the epitome. I was like, man, if we can own practices, that would be like the dream.
Mhm.
And we are pretty darn good doctors. Like we love patient care. We have great rapport with our patients. And we worked really hard, blood work and sweat and tears to build up these practices. But when we started getting into the real estate space and pivoting out and getting into networking, I was not a networker. I did not enjoy talking to a lot of people. I like one-on-one, and talking to big groups was very intimidating and something I absolutely hated. What I hated is something that I've become something I truly love now. But it was a mindset shift. I had to grow so much as an individual in my self development journey and all the limiting beliefs of where I wanted to be and my bigger vision and mission in life. And when that changed, I was like, man, game on. Right. And I learned so much from connecting with people from all walks of life and talking to them and getting to know them and learning life lessons. And I realized the more that I started getting out there, how little of the world and how myopic and how small of a lens I was viewing life through. And as I started expanding my heart, my mind and my heart more and learning about other people and hearing their stories, it would inspire me so much. I'm like, man, there's so much inspiration and look at what they're achieving. And like, man, I'm playing so small. And so my superpower of getting out there and connecting with people was my weakness before. Speaking was the other pillar of something that I viewed as my biggest fear and my weakness, right? I remember having to go to optometry school knowing that our last year we would have to give a big presentation in front of all our classes and all the doctors. And for all those years in optometry school, I stressed. And I remember that, right? Just making that big speech. And I did really well, but it was something I dreaded. I dreaded speaking. But again, when you say you find your superpower, that's something that now I enjoy. I like to enjoy speaking because it's not about me anymore, right? I know that if I get on that stage and my words can resonate and help one other person to create a ripple effect, it's worth it for me to step on that stage, right? And whenever I feel down, whenever I feel the blues, I'm gonna step on a stage. It gives me this energy that if I have to crawl there, I will get on that stage and give me that energy. And I'll give you a perfect example. Last week we did our podcast, and then by Wednesday I was feeling horrible. I got sick. I broke out in hives and rashes. I had absolutely zero energy. I was in bed. But I knew I had a speaking engagement this Saturday, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to get my medication. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to rest. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to take my vitamins, do everything I need to do because I do not want to miss the speaking engagement on Saturday. By Friday night, I was still feeling horrible. And Maria's like, how are you doing? I was like, I don't know. But I'm going to pray that I'm going to have the energy to get up by tomorrow. And sure enough, Saturday, I woke up at 1 a.m, took a shower at 3, couldn't go back to sleep. But I was the adrenaline of knowing that I was going to go on stage that day. I pulled through. I showed up and I executed. It was a 9 to 3 event. I got home. By the time I got home, I went straight to bed. I was crashed. But the adrenaline of being out there, I had so much energy and I felt so good just being there out on stage. And then I came home and I was like crashed because I fully immersed and used up all my energy being there. But when you're so passionate about something, you'll find that energy to just uplift you, to pull you through. So how can you monetize on your superpower? There are ways. If you have something that you love to do and you're actually good at it, you can monetize on it because you can teach someone else the lessons, right? Whatever it is, that you've learned, whether you're tech savvy, whether you're able to speak well, whether you understand a certain trade, whether you understand, like we do real estate investing, and those are kind of our wheelhouse of building businesses and real estate and things of that nature and investing. So those are areas that now we're able to help other people along the way. But you have something that is unique to you that you can utilize in order to not only help people, but you can monetize on helping people do that, finding your gift. Because I find that people who invest in you will take it more seriously and execute. I've invested, and Jaime's invested huge in our journey of self-development, on learning real estate, on learning entrepreneurship, on learning speaking, on marketing, anything that we've wanted to improve on. We have hired coaches and mentors. And so we're big believers in investing. And some, obviously, we paid because they were good in that lane. We pay for people who are good in the specific thing that we want to get better in. And we want to collapse that time frame. And not only are you just getting that, you're tapping into their resources. You're tapping into their compressed knowledge, sometimes 10, 20, 30 years of compressed knowledge that you're getting in a smaller window of time to then be able to catapult your own success journey. And I just feel that's worth it. And that's why our motto is always invest in yourself and invest in meaningful relationships and invest in a cause greater than yourself. That's our company motto. In anything that we do, that is our company motto. And so I encourage you to not think like, well, if I want to grow and scale and I'm busy doing this, hire out the other things that may not necessarily be the best use of your time. Hire those things out so that you can go focus and accelerate your knowledge base and your time on the things that you really can move the needle forward and actually you enjoy more.
I think we might have a question here.
Can you?
So let's see.
What does it say?
We feed off our passions at times. It's inevitable. How do you deal with coming down off of that back to normal life? That's a good question. And so we have goals, right? And our goals are not per se reachable very quickly. And they're not attainable very quickly. So before we were thinking, okay, well, we can open up 5 practices or 3 practices or however many. But then once you achieve that goal, what else is there? And then you achieve or you succeeded at that specific task or goal or event that you might have gone to, a speaking event that you really love that particular speaker. But yeah, you come back home and then what? Right. So, but we don't really focus on those short-term goals. So our vision nowadays is long vision. So like something that cannot be reached.
We call them moonshot goals.
Yeah. So because if you aim for something 100 feet away, you're probably going to reach it. Right. But if you aim for something 1,000 feet away, very easily, you're going to surpass that 100 feet very easily. So just a very example that most people know, it's like the 4-minute mile. No one surpassed that under 4-minute mile. But once someone did it, there was hundreds of people that actually were able to do that. So we shoot for the moon, like Hua was saying. We're aiming so big, so massively nowadays. And what do we say? We aim for perfection, but we settle for, what was that other word that we say? Well, but we aim for perfection, right? And we settle for successful. So I can't think of the word now, but yeah, I think that's what it is. And
for perfection, which we never get, of course, but you get excellence.
But we settle for excellence.
In the same token, as we're doing moonshots and these large life goals, the bigger long-term vision, we do have small goals too, intervals, right? Small, shorter goals too, in the meanwhile, as benchmarks. but in the same token, we do appreciate. And so I think that's important that you're also enjoying and celebrating your wins as you go along, and not just always looking for the future, enjoying the present right now, knowing that, man, we have come long ways. We've achieved a lot, and every little milestone, we're going to celebrate that, right? And
Yep.
so I think that's important that you don't always just focus only on the future. You do have to have a future roadmap of what the bigger plan is and the bigger moonshot goal. So you're not just drifting, but it's important to also be able to enjoy and celebrate what you have and have gratitude of where you are right now, right?
Mhm.
Because it's easy to look at somebody else's, what you think is success, and then be like, well, I'll be happy when I get to that. No. If you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy when you get there, right? You got to find ways that you enjoy and you're appreciative and happy where you are right now, but know that progress and growth is always, it's kanai, right? Constant and never ending improvement. And
Mhm.
that's what keeps you happy, because we'll get mundane. If you just kind of get complacent and you go on cruise control for a while, you're not going to stay happy. You're going to kind of be like, okay, you're going to get bored. What else is there? Then you get to the point where you're like, well, what else is there for me?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's why having moonshot goals, and when you talk about passion and normal life, like we integrate that. I don't see passion separated from my normal life. My normal life is my passion. I don't see, like, people think like, oh, when you retire in Belize on your beachfront, and that's going to be when you've reached your high destination. Like, no, I'm already there, fool.
Fool.
Fool. I'm not waiting till I'm old. Like, I'm enjoying it right now. And that's why I think people like, oh, $1 million, or it's funny because those are kind of like benchmark. People put numbers to benchmarks of where they are going to be happy. I'm like, you know what? If you're not happy right now, you won't be happy when you make $1 million. It'll be temporary happiness. And so that's an inner work. And there's so many pillars of life, and emotions and relationship are a core thing. Money's a byproduct, believe it or not. Money is always a byproduct, right? And yes, you have to have strategies to work on money, but if you can get your mindset right and you can get your emotions right, trust me, you will make it, you will move that needle. You want to see needle move on financially, you work on your inner core. You work on what you really want, what your true passion and gifts are, and associate and surround yourself with the right people. I think that's the biggest three things. If I could like put anything to move the needle forward in the success ladder of life, of happiness, I would do the inner work and definitely manage your emotions and habits, and then find the people, that inner circle of people that are going to help support you, encourage you, uplift you, and give you shared resources to really elevate you to the next level.
Yeah, that just kind of reminds me of myself, and probably, I don't know, 8, 10 years ago, and how much time I was wasting away. It's like I grew up playing sports, and then I would play sports, but then I would watch sports at the same time. And then it would be like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursdays. It's like, that's all you have. That's all you're doing. It's like you're wasting so much time out of your precious life just watching other people play sports instead of you going out there and joining other leagues, or playing golf or baseball,
Mhm.
or with your friends, and connecting with other people and building those relationships with other people or with your family.
Right.
So now it's, you will not catch me watching any sports. Like, I'm not going to be in front of a TV watching baseball, football, soccer, any sports.
It's been a few years since we pretty much stopped watching TV at home.
Yeah, it's we haven't watched TV probably, what, 4 or 5 years. And I mean,
The
we
occasional travel channel that will watch some food, but we really don't watch the news. We don't really watch TV. We have a TV at our home, but unless we're going to karaoke or we're going to watch occasional food travel show if my mom comes in town or something like that's about it.
Mhm.
It's pretty much just for display.
And most people that we're surrounded by, and people that are very successful, I mean, they're not there playing video games or watching sports for so many hours a day, right? They're old school, right?
Yeah.
They want to have face-to-face conversations. They want to go on trips, and that's where we say all the magic happens. If you go on a trip with someone that you want to get to know and that you like and appreciate their work, and they're playing much bigger than you are, those are the people that we would love to take a trip with. So
And that trip alone can move the needle faster and further than you spending so many conferences.
100%. Because most of the time, we think we're very productive. This is just me speaking, right? I think I'm very productive at a conference, but whenever I go home, how much do I really implement? It's like not very much, right? So I can probably take maybe a couple things that the 2-3 day conference actually, was. I'm mainly there for the relationships.
Mm.
I'm mainly there to support the people and the team that's hosting the event. And then we're there to select, before we go to the event, these are the people that I want to connect with. These are the people that I want to say hi to. So I want to make sure I go out of my way to say hi to them so we can continue nurturing that relationship. So that's mainly nowadays why I go out to a conference or to a convention or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm there to learn and to listen about whatever the market or some medical device and medical care, things like that.
Right.
But I'm primarily there to establish those relationships and to nurture them. So, and maybe get some good quality time, but also set up some fun trips with those
Right.
people that I really enjoy.
But we've got to start wrapping it up. Thank you guys for joining us. But when we talk about relationship, I'm going to announce, should we announce it? Our July?
Oh, go ahead.
Since we're on the topic of relationships, we haven't actually revealed it publicly yet, but we are launching. We had envisioned wanting to do this a while back, and we're bringing it to fruition now. So in July 19th through July 22nd, Jaime and I are hosting our very first Power Couples Transformation Retreat on a private island in Belize. Anyone who knows us knows that we absolutely love Belize. We've been going there since 2015. We own property and have a home there, but we're actually renting out a whole separate private island where this retreat is going to have like water bungalows over, and it's a separate space just for our intimate group. And we're going to have a transformation coach who has been in the business for over 20 years. He is my transformation coach. He's a phenomenal person, and he helps so many Fortune 500 companies, and he pretty much helps transform in all different areas of life, whether it's business, whether it's health, whether it's relationship, when all those different things. And he's a phenomenal soul. And so we're blessed to really have him come on board with us. And so we're going to open it up to 13 couples only, because it only has a total of 15 couples available. So Jaime and I are going to take one. Sir Kaya Redford is going to take the other one. And so we're going to open the floor up to 13 other couples. And so if you're interested, if you're listening into the podcast, direct message me and I'll provide you more information. But it's going to be all inclusive as far as the meals, the stay there, the excursion, the mastermind, the transformation, actual exercise and retreat. The only thing that would be out of pocket would be the flight to and from. And so just if you're interested in learning more about like elevating your relationship, it's going to be all different pillars. Jaime is huge into health and longevity and anti-aging, as well as Sir Kaya. And so guys are going to be really good hands with that. We're going to talk about business and entrepreneurship. We're going to really deep dive into communication and relationships. And it's an intimate, safe space where it's not going to be just we're talking at you. This is going to be immersive. This is going to be integrative. And I think it's really going to be 4 days and 3 nights of a life change for you. So, and we're going to be doing this annually. We're hoping to down the line do 2 a year. And we haven't decided if we're going to go to different countries and do this, or if we're going to stay in Belize to do this. But we travel all over the world. And if we can bring people alongside us to go travel, experience, and have quality time with your significant other to go immerse, reach out to us. But other than that, thank you so much. Any other last words before I end the show?
Do your homework. No, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. You know, we've been getting some really, really good feedback from, and I didn't think there was so many people are reviewing this show, but from week to week, we have so many people joining. So we really appreciate you spending the time and just viewing our show every Monday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We will try to make it if we're not in another country. Even if we are, we'll try to jump in. So thank you so much. We're very grateful for all of you and the viewership. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.